Yep, there he is. Sup, loser? For our first attempt from a new gaming publisher that is a new arm of a larger movie studio, Fear the Spotlight isn't too bad. Hello, my name is Exalclaw. If you're new here, hi. If you're not new here, welcome back. Fear the Spotlight finally came out this week, and it's a game that I've been paying attention to for a while now, mostly because of what I saw in June. Blumhouse, the movie production studio behind many household horror names, damn near all of the household horror names, made an interesting announcement back during the Summer Game Fest in June, saying that they were now going to venture into video games. What was particularly stand out about that announcement wasn't necessarily the fact that they were getting into games. This kind of thing was inevitable given how much money the gaming space makes for the people making the larger of top decisions, but because of the fact that since they were sticking strictly to their horror mantra, the games themselves are going to be playing very differently, in addition to giving specific amount of attention to indie developers. And while I would never say you should put a ton of stock into a lineup trailer, because it is ultimately just a trailer, not even a gameplay one at that, the games seem to be very different from each other and seem to intentionally be played differently. So with my attention officially grabbed, I knew I had to pay attention to when their first game would be published, in this case Fear the Spotlight. It's alright. It makes me cautiously optimistic about what else they'll be doing. At $20 with a playtime of just under 3 hours, Fear the Spotlight's a pretty tight game. You play as Vivian, who breaks into the school after hours with their crush, Amy, and supernatural fuckery follows very quickly after you guys mess around with the Ouija board that has to do with a fire that happened in the school's past. Now, just so I can get this out the way, the reason I say that this is alright isn't because it was bad. I had a lot of fun and frankly speaking still had my heart pounding a lot. But it feels so much like a game for people that have not played a horror game before, or for people who know they cannot play higher intensity horror games and need something more slow paced. So if you're someone that for instance doesn't even flinch at something like Outlast or Evil Within, or Silent Hill 2 recently came out, the Silent Hill 2 remake recently came out, you won't feel a thing during this. Like, you'll have fun probably, like there is still like a grab here past the horror element, but in terms of like scares, I'm a punk, so I'm gonna scare easily. But if you're not one, this is low stakes. Like, you are going to just basically be breezing through this to the point where I'd almost not suggest picking it up unless you're just interested in playing it, because it is still fun. It's just not going to be scary. Like, the story is still nice and still interesting to follow. It still really nails the like actual horror aspect with the way that it has its camera shots, with the way that it builds a really eerie atmosphere. The sound design is really good on this. But the main monster that you deal with, this spotlight monster dude, I think the only way I can describe my reaction to this is by literally showing you my reaction to it. I've been hyping myself up for the entire time I'm playing this game. I'm really expecting the scares to hit me, because a few scares already did hit me. There were a few little jump scares here or there that got the body, active, ready, and engaged. So after having already a few scares happen, I was like really waiting for when the big bad would show up. And this is what it was like when they did. Oh, hell no. Actually, you're not even that scary for real. Hold on. You definitely look crazy, but not scary. Now, despite my reaction there, I don't think that this spotlight monster is a bad design. It's just that it's not a scary one. And with the slow pace of how they walk and stalk the scene, it is actually incredibly easy to get around them, like during the entire game. Even when they show up a bit more frequently during some other parts, they still there's a nice little shock factor. They will try and hit you with them when you don't expect it. But if you're someone that has played horror games, again, even with the way that the rooms are laid out, your brain's gonna immediately be like, oh snap, I gotta start hiding soon. Like, you're just gonna know. You're gonna know immediately what to expect as you're playing this if you are used to this genre. Now, in some ways, this actually makes sense. We're doing some digging. The developers of this game, Cozy Game Pals, a actual husband-wife duo, so it's two people that made this game, they specifically mentioned how they went out this way to make sure that this game, while still being eerie, was also approachable. Which to me reads as, okay, we want to make sure that this is like not so scary that if you've ever picked up a horror game, or if you have a bit of an aversion to it, you wouldn't want to keep playing it. So given my comment earlier, that makes sense. This game feels exactly like that. But I will say the most fun that this game has been for me is actually just been the puzzles they've thrown at you. The puzzles are pretty fun. I got a nice little kick out of it. It scratched my logic itch. I was having a good time. So I will give the game a lot of merit on that, in addition to what I already mentioned earlier with like, it does look good visually. The sound effects are there. It is fun to play. Again, it's just not going to be that scary if you are in that space. But thinking about it from the view of, okay, we want to get more people into this space that we don't think are in this space yet, I think this is a successful venture. Because even as someone who's played a fair amount of horror games, I still got to finish Alan Wake 2. I've said that in probably 2 videos at this point. This was still fun. It makes me cautiously optimistic for the rest of it. Because the caveat to everything here is, since the other games are going to probably play very different from this one, I can't really call it an indicator for how everything else is going to play, but it is still a first good showing. So like, they have my interest enough to at least want to see what the next thing they'll throw out there is. If you go on their website, you can see what games they have in development, and frankly, the one that I'm most excited for, or at least most interested in, is the Grave Seasons one, I believe is what it's called, which is the towning a farming simulator where the twist is, among you, you know, doing the usual relationship building and general farming, apparently there's just a supernatural serial killer on the loose. Like yeah, there. I want to see what that's going to be. The other ones, I'll see what happens, take it or leave it. But in terms of just how they did with this first outing, I'm interested. Considering how much we're seeing video game adaptations occur from video games to TV shows or movies, and the success that they've been having recently, seeing a movie studio that has a very specific niche to them, a very specific way that they go about making their movies, see how that translates into the gaming space with not being so heavy-handed in it, but just being more of a curator like publishers often are. It's interesting to see how they'll continue to develop after this first game, which seems to, even outside of my review, been positively received by most other people. But TLDR, for someone that's into horror games but know you couldn't dive right into the more action-packed, heavy, adrenaline-filled ones, this is a good game for you to use, honestly speaking. Like, it is a good one to jump into that and like get an understanding of how they work. But if you're someone that's like a veteran in this space, you can probably skip this and be fine just like watching a video of it. Or if you're just feeling particularly in the mood for the spooky season, you can pick this up and finish it within one sitting. But yeah, I just wanted to jump on here and talk about this real quick since it's been on my radar for a minute. If you checked it out yourself, let me know. If this got you interested in checking it out, also let me know. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. Ciao. Heart pumping. Heart pumping. What the f***? Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Get me out of here. Oh, hell no. You see all them kids? Absolutely not.